Cool, so this is the NWC show. My name's Barry. We're here for predictions. I'm joined by a special guest. If you want to introduce yourself. I don't really think you need introduction, do you, Steve? You're always here. It's SWC's, probably one of my favourite wrestling channels on YouTube at the minute, and has been for a while. So
Okay.
you've got big you up. I don't know what else to say about you. I watch your stuff all the time, so everybody should go check out your honesty and reviews. I don't agree with some of your stuff, but you're honest in your reviews, and it's fun. It's cool to see how much us guys as well that we've done the retro reviews last year, I think it was. Then like how far that we've came. Like Dan DWE, whatever he's calling himself now, he's came back and stuff like that as well. We've got Rated R that's came back, and it's just fun to kind of see what we've all came for. It's like when it was like the UK wrestling YouTube scene isn't as big as the American one, and then we're all just kind of fighting for views at this point.
The thing is, like you say, it's been quite a lot going on for everybody throughout the time. We also have come together in like the last sort of couple of years. Like obviously COVID, everyone got a lot more time on their hands. Everyone started doing a lot more content. We all got to sort of get to know each other. Like you said, some unfortunately for the reasons have been away, but it's great to see so many people are coming back into the back into the YouTube scene now. And like you say, we've been two of the constants that have been around during that time, and it's always been fun to collab with yourself. Like you say, we've done the retros. We've spoke about all sorts of things pro wrestling, whether what we like, what we don't like. I'm sure you're going to get a rant out of me at some point today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into SummerSlam, or as Jeremy Pippin like to say, the Summerfest. That's what I'm going to go with for this video, the Summerfest.
So, talking about the rant, man, I need to go straight in thick to get this rant out. Logan Paul versus The Miz. The fuck are we doing here? I get Logan Paul's this, like, people think he's like amazing YouTuber, stuff like that, and like literally I read like now in Twitter when people put like do we brackets and it's like 1/10. Like I read this per paragraph talking about how he's going to get eyes from his social media platform to come to WWE. He doesn't even get eyes from his Instagram to come to Twitter. Like it doesn't make it, like his Instagram's got like 15 million or something like that. I can't remember what it is. His Twitter's got like 7. I mean, you're not getting it's no moving across. Like that's not how that works. If anybody knows marketing, advertising, that's not how that works at all. But if you don't like wrestling, you're not going to watch it. I've never seen the guy box. I've watched a clip on YouTube every now and again just to see what he was like against Mayweather. I'm not going out my way to watch what he fights like or anything like that. And it's just such a like, if this, we were talking about before we came on about the Vince touch he's still on it. This feels like a entertainment touch still there. No professional wrestling, no something to be like fun. Just like, let's get this guy in because he gets a lot of likes on social media. But if you're going to do that, the guy smokes weed. He was on Andrew Schultz's podcast, which is a comedian that I like, but he smokes weed. He talks about women, does all that kind of stuff. That's no PG. Why are we not doing that kind of stuff then? If you're going to be cool and go for that type of person, you're missing out 75% of his character. But how do you feel about this match? I'm not going to say my prediction just yet, but I think this is going to be. It might be good because I think the guy's got that athleticism there. The Miz can pretty much work with anybody apart from that zombie match that we never talk about. But how do you feel about it? What are you feeling about it?
To be honest, really, like you said, that I mean, I've not really followed Logan Paul before WWE. I'm, being in the UK and sort of, that's over there. We're over here. In the YouTube, it's the wrestling scene and odd little things that I might follow, like football, soccer for Americans. I don't follow Logan Paul. That was the first time I encountered him at WrestleMania last year with the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match. It was the first time. I knew there was a bit of controversy around him, but obviously he's now come back in this year at WrestleMania. Thought he put in a good performance in the tag team match with The Miz. Obviously, it made sense he would eventually come back to have a match with The Miz, but of course, he signed a contract now. He's going to be doing more dates with WWE. Like you say, will it bring more eyes to the prize? I think time will tell on that one, obviously. Maybe it might bring 1 or 2, but like you say, it's not going to bring 20 odd million. It's not going to do that. I mean, if it did that, then we'd bring anybody in, wouldn't we, to get those eyes on the prize? But at the same time, for what it is, I mean, The Miz is always the first opponent it feels for everybody in WWE. Cody had that. Whoever seems to come in these days, they face The Miz first off. So, I mean, the thing for me is I can see why a lot of people would have a positive thing to say of Logan Paul coming in, but I can also see the negative side as well. My main gripe with it, if I had to pick, is that it's clear he's booed wherever he goes. So, like you said, we're not getting what perhaps we could be getting from Logan Paul, because when he was the heel at WrestleMania and he was doing the Three Amigos and everyone was booing him, was like, I was really feeling, I was like, this can work. He impressed me in that match. I won't lie. It was for someone that, hasn't done this like for all the years that other people are doing them. I thought he looked quite impressive in the ring. To now see him in the babyface role, for me, there was a disconnect. And I think, obviously, I will give my prediction now, if that's okay. There's no way that Miz is winning this, in my opinion. Logan Paul wins it. It's a celebrity. It's his first match in WWE. Like, as a singles match, he's going to win it under contract as well. But at the same time, I look and say to myself, well, Logan Paul for me should be the Miz, because basically the Miz is hated and not liked for all the rest of it. That's a Logan Paul style character. That's why they fit well as a team. For me, I'd like to see them break away, and I'd like to see Logan Paul go and be a heel afterwards, because I want to see the fuss of why he's disliked and why he's hated and why there's a reason for people to boo. Because if he gives people a reason to boo, I think then that's where you kind of start printing money.
Man, I think he's got all that history, and obviously people know liking him for reasons that he's done. They don't want to talk about that, and like, he's just this rich YouTuber. So why not just come out and be a rich YouTuber? Be like, I'm better than yous. Yous want to be in my position with my millions of followers and stuff like that. Talk about, because most people do want to get a ton of followers, quit their job, and just like do content for a living, which would obviously be ideal probably for anybody. But like, that's what he's got that there. Like, just, I do this for a living. I'm just here to have some fun. Yous want to be in my position. Take the piss out of people. But I think maybe with new creative stuff we might be seeing come in, we could get that. Old stuff, I think it would just be the pure, he's going to be a good guy and let's just run with it. My prediction here is Logan Paul. Why would you let The Miz win? And at this point, The Miz is like the commitment to cashing your paycheck in into. Like, that's just turning up to your job and just being like, hit play and get it done. Like, I'm just there to get my money, and then I'm going up the road. Which, why blame him? He's getting paid a good amount, and he's been there for a shit ton of years. He's been the champion. He's been. There's no really. I would be doing the exact same thing if I was getting paid the amount he's getting paid. But Logan Paul has to win this, doesn't he? Get that. Get it out the way. Like, we know he's going to need to win at some point. But what I would love to see is Logan Paul with like a Dominic Mysterio, like that kind of young, like youngish kind of stuff up there. On like, have Dominic turn on Ray. Like, just let it happen. Say like Eddie Guerrero's like my dad or something, really, because he's got the highlights in his head and stuff like that. Just let it, just get it out of the way. I think we could see that with like maybe the new creative that's coming in. We might see something as fun as that. But I think that Dominic and Logan Paul could really work well together. Two young guys that could be bad and just like be hated. And then like Dominic's like, well, I want to be like him. I want to get social media followers and stuff like that. Take my real dad's money and stuff like that, or whatever, and just like have fun with it. But who knows what we're going to see? This match is going to be me just, I don't know. No, I'm really, really going to be paying attention here. I'm probably going to be like on my phone, scrolling Twitter, looking at the window. I don't know that, but it's a weird one, man. I hope it's the first one out the door. Like, we just get it out the way. We don't need to stress about it the rest of the night. Just get it out the way and let me enjoy my wrestling after this.
Yeah. Should definitely be early doors.
I don't know what else to say about it. But next one I've wrote down here is Liv Morgan against Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This one, I couldn't give a flying hell about. I'm not interested in it. I don't. Ronda Rousey's awkward. I know I was talking to Mex about this, and then he was saying he watched the promo she'd done or whatever it was, the segment in the ring with a pram with Natalia or something. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, and he was like, that was fun. I was like, you're just having a Saturday morning good time feeling. Fucking, that was fun. Or what's this all about? But I'm not interested in this. Liv Morgan being a champion is just that feel good moment. Why no feed her to Rhea Ripley? It makes more sense to have that Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan kind of side stuff. Just the brand split as well. Why we even got this? This is just awkward at this point. And I would have liked to have seen, maybe like if we bring both belts together, patch the two of them, just have one belt like the way it should be, and have like Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey, Belair, and Becky Lynch have a 4-way match against each other. Whack a ladder in there. Have something fun. I mean, like, just fucking do something fun. But I'd be happy with that. But I'm not interested in this at all. And my prediction is I think Liv Morgan's going to keep it. No, if you've ever watched my prediction shows, and I think anybody who's ever seen it, I get everything completely wrong. So don't use my saying to skew your stuff, Steve, because I'm not a good person to go with. But what do you think? Are you looking forward to this? Do you think it's...
I have like a bit of interest in this match, mainly because of the fact that I mean, a lot of people have been. I think there's been like a divisive feeling since Liv Morgan won the SmackDown Women's Championship. We've seen obviously the people that are really happy for her, and we've seen people that are kind of now showing up. Well, no, I was not a fan of her, and she shouldn't be in this position. And a few more of them that were not so vocal have now come out of the woodwork. We see them a lot more on Twitter now than what we did previously. But my take on it is that Liv Morgan, is she the finished article? No, not at all. But what I like about Liv Morgan is that there's a lot of passion there. You can see how much this means to her. You see how much she wants it. She wants to improve. She wants to get better. Now, some people will turn and say, well, she should be the best when she's the champion. Totally understand that, and I can totally agree with that. But there's so many different times in the wrestling cycle with people that now would look and say they were greats, where they won the championship maybe too soon, but they had that experience being a champion that they could come back and become a multi-time world champion and then get the benefit of the rub later. You take Randy Orton as a fine example. Won it first time in 2004, held the championship for 3 weeks, was nowhere near ready. In fact, his character completely was destroyed as a babyface within 3 months in the rivalry with Triple H, had to go back being a heel. It was about 2.5 years later before he got his time once again. And back then, when he got the championship the second time, goodness, was he a great world champion. Same with Edge. Edge cashed in Money in the Bank, same as Liv Morgan, the first ever one to do so. Lost the championship 3 weeks later. Took him about 6-7 months before he got back in the championship scene, but when he did, he was ready. I think Liv Morgan is one of those. I think, like you said, it's a feel-good moment. Is she going to be a long-term champion? I don't think so. If you're going to be honest and look at this match, the story, the way it's been put together, you've got this idea of Liv Morgan can do what Ronda Rousey can do, but not as quick and not as decisive. Well, Ronda Rousey in a legitimate fight, obviously we know would win. This is sports entertainment. This is WWE. How are they going to find a way to get Liv to retain it? For me, Charlotte Flair will return. Charlotte Flair was actually ruled out of WWE thanks to Ronda Rousey with a kayfabe broken arm. She went to go and get married to Andre the Idolo. Idolo's back in AEW. He's been there for quite a while. I think Charlotte, now it's time for her to come back to WWE. On the same weekend, by the way, that Ric Flair's last match with the StarCast stuff and all that rest of it, it makes sense to me that she would come back in this position. Maybe she cost Ronda Rousey, and that's the way Liv Morgan retains. But I would like Liv Morgan to retain. I think it's the right move to make at this point. You mentioned about Rhea Ripley. I mean, we've got a draft coming up in the next month or two. I think they're going to reshape that SmackDown Women's division. The whole roster's all over me, shaping up, to be fair, especially the blue side. So I think Liv Morgan will probably have people like maybe like a Rhea Ripley, an Asuka, an Alexa Bliss, people like that to wrestle in the next coming months. But at the moment, I think the right thing for us to see is to get Ronda out of the championship picture, because people boo that. They want to see Liv Morgan. Don't do what they did with Nikki ASH last year and just lose it in 3 weeks. And like we said with others, let her keep it for a couple of months. Let her get established as a top person so that when she doesn't lose, she doesn't go straight back down to the bottom of the ladder again.
Definitely, man. I've been saying for years, people can go back and watch my videos for years now. I don't think Liv Morgan should be in that championship position, that main event picture. I get that she's got the look. She's good at. She's all right in the ring. No, like a Bret Hart. Do you know what I mean? Like, but she's good. That's where that middle title could come into play. Instead of from the tag team titles, just have that middle title. Same as that Nikki Ash, whatever the ASH, whatever she's called. I think that's where that middle title, like an intercontinental title for women or the European Championship coming back for them, would be a good position for them, because then you could be like, oh, Liv Morgan won this belt. Could we push her up to the main? No, just now. We'll let her lose this. We'll let her go in a little feud with somebody else, then bring her back up. She wins it again. She's more hot. Right, we take her up to the main title, that kind of stuff that they used to literally do. You can watch on the network how they used to do it, and then now they've just missed it. But man, if you look on Twitter, anybody who wins a match is pretty much the most hated person on the planet. But I mean, you can't enjoy wrestling at all. And talking about enjoying wrestling, we've got Dan in the comments, which is the most positive man in wrestling. He says, hope Liv has a good showing at SummerSlam. I'm sure he's just enjoyed the rant that both of us have just went on. And again, he's still been mega positive. I would love to have him break down in a rant sometime. But I was watching my two kids. We were sitting watching wrestling the other day. It was 2019 TLC, the pay-per-view. They loved. It's not the best one. I wanted to see FTR against New Day, because I didn't watch the match at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'll put it on. I went through it. The two of them loved it. Loved them. New Day came out with pancakes and that kind of shit. I'm not that interested in the New Day. I'm not a big fan of them. but my kids loved it. I like FTR. So obviously two different kind of sides of who likes wrestling. After that, you had Buddy Murphy against Aleister Black.
Oh,
I was into that. They two were kind of enjoying it, but no really fully into it because I know these big characters. It's just wrestlers, and it just kind of went back and forth like that throughout the night. Like I was enjoying wrestling, they were watching the characters, and then we're watching the. I don't like the new NXT, but they were sitting watching it, and they were loving it. Like they were really buying into it, and then my partner was watching something else, like the Divas thing. Whatever the thing's called, I don't remember.
Total Divas?
Something like that. She likes Camilla as well, so she listens to her podcast with Corey Graves or whatever he's. So she listens to that. She's into that kind of stuff, and I was like, that literally. I'm watching WWE. I'm watching old WCW stuff. Going back and watching like Bret Hart, like classic matches. Right, there's kids are sitting watching the new stuff. They're enjoying the colourful stuff. They're enjoying the way people look because they can relate to them because they're closer to their age. And then she's sitting watching the Diva stuff. They've got every generation in the house. Watching their stuff, and that's what people forget. Is like it's a business model. WWE is the biggest wrestling company in the world for a reason. AEW is going to be nowhere near them because they focus on that niche, which is me and you. They just focus on that, but we love it. My kids don't give a shit who Kenny Omega is or Ayabushi or whoever. When they're older, maybe is it going to be? Do you want to be known as a Kenny Omega between a couple of 100,000 fans, or do you want to be like a Hulk Hogan? Well, of course you want to be the Hulk Hogan because you've got the money, you've got the fame, you've got the cool cars and stuff like that. It's the human nature to be like that, and it just I think Twitter forgets, like
absolutely
nobody outside this wee wrestling world, like this small mini bubble, is watching this shit because it's really really bad at times, and nobody's interested in going and watching a New Japan show or Progress Wrestling in England. Nobody's gone and watching it. The ICW's got a big show in Glasgow at the O2 Academy here, and it's 2 nights. Shug's house party. Literally, like 8-minute walk, maybe a 15-minute slow walk from my house. Right, I'm not going. I'm not interested in it. I'll just watch it when it goes on the WWE network. Nobody's watching it. Like, we're sold out. We got like 1,000 people to come. I bet it's the same style of like I can watch it in AEW. It's the same style that's going to happen, and I think people forget like WWE is perfect at making everybody, like we're moaning about WWE, but we're still talking about it and watching the pay-per-views, and then we know all the wrestlers. My kids love it. My partner loves it. I know I can take like my partner's mum and dad to a wrestling show and the kids, and they're all going to have a good time. They're not going to think it's not like a death match or something that we're going to go see. They're going to have a good time, and I just think Twitter forgets that all the time. Like they just forget like. I'm not watching Japanese wrestling. I've got a wrestling channel, and I might sit down and watch it, but like I'm not going out my way to be like I need to stay up to 2:00 in the morning to watch like the G1 climax or try and catch it during the. I'm like I'll just wait and get the good clips at the end of it. I'm not that fussed about it. No, I know that make people be like you're not a true wrestling fan. I've got like a job, kids, responsibilities and shit. I'm no fucking running around like I've got a business. Stuff I need to get done. I need to go to the gym and stuff. I'm not going to be running around watching like shows in like middle of the night. But as my rant about Twitter, man, it does my tits in when my kids were really enjoying it, and I was like, you know what, I don't like this, but then I was watching it with them, and I'm enjoying it because they're enjoying it, and I'm getting it for like a fresh point of eyes. Then you go into Twitter and it's like it's the worst show that's ever happened, and I'm like, that's kind of dicky. It is a shit show. Like it's not like a fantastic wrestling show, but it's not the worst that's ever happened. Like. Come on, you need to give them benefit where it is.
Absolutely. There's a couple of things I love of what you've been talking about there. I mean, the first off, like you said, they have to watch everything. Look, if you're a wrestling fan, it means you like something that's involving wrestling. Doesn't matter if you just watch Impact or you just watch WWE or you want to go and see the Scottish indie show down the road. If that's what you like to see. That's great because that's what you're going to see. You might just want to watch retro stuff. You're still a wrestling fan because that's what you want to go and watch. You haven't got to watch every single match that's happened on the time. If you want to put yourself out and watch every match that's ever happened, great, go and do it. There's no problem with that either. But the thing is that this concept, and you have to have done everything, have to know everything. If you get a slight little hiccup of something wrong where you've made it, I said this happened at WrestleMania 19 when it happened at 18. Oh God, I'm the worst, not a proper wrestling fan. See, 20 years ago, get over it. Do you know what I mean? Like, get a life, go outside, get some fresh air. And the other thing you said as well there, like how your kids like one aspect of it, how you said about, your missus is like listening to the podcast. WWE is a variety show. This is what it is. It has something for everybody. And you said there's different things you see even amongst your household that connects you and connects someone to something that's going on within that product, which is why WWE is the global market and brand that it is, and why it's the biggest one, and why almost to a case, I'm not saying TV14 shouldn't come back. I'm not suggesting that at all, but this is some of my arguments of why I think that not so much will change, because they don't want to alienate like 3/4 of your household to stop watching it. They want to have every person in your house watching it in some format, in some way, which is why they will continue to do that. I mean, to be fair, do I want to see? I talked about this on my own show the other day. Do I want to see Shanky dancing? No. But if it makes someone happy, yes, why not? If it's making someone happy up there, why not do it? And the thing is, ultimately, like at least with this era, if something like that, we can cringe at and go, well, that's for kids. You can almost get the escape clause. What did we get in the year 2000 when Naked Video was there? What was our excuse then when we were watching that? We had no excuse. You know what I mean? Like, we were the right age group as our demographic, and we're going, oh, I don't want to see that. Put some clothes on the man. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, there's different ways to tango, depending on the way you look at it.
Mae Young with a hand, the
Exactly.
Val Venus getting the choppy PP, you know what I mean? Like, where was our excuse to be like, oh, it was for kids? No, well, we were kids at that time. That's why we still watch wrestling. It's like people that don't like wrestling still watching Disney movies. It's the thing that they like to do. Let them do it. But
absolutely,
it's the same thing. Like, it brings you back to that kind of time when you were like, this is so cool. Obviously, I still say older wrestling's better than what it was today because it had more characters in it. But that's when I grew up watching it. And like you said, which I always say, if you enjoy watching Impact, if you enjoy watching just SmackDown, or you only like watching one match a month, or you just wait for the clips on YouTube, that's cool. Enjoy wrestling the way you want to enjoy it. It's no, you don't need to go to Twitter and see this like random like somebody you never know. It's like the other day somebody shared it was I always get tagged in the IWF, giving them a shout out as they tagged me in their old kind of cards. Can't remember old wrestling cards, and it was like Hulk Hogan against Sergeant Slaughter. So I was like, I would love, like, what match would you like to see live? So I was like, that one, because Hogan Sergeant Slaughter is always, it's not the best match, but it would be cool to see live. And somebody was like, why would you not want to see Kerry Von Erich against Haku? And I was like, because I would have been like, I wasn't even born at the time. So going back to remembering Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter, I'm like, well, that'd be cool to go back and see. I enjoy Kerry Von Erich. I like the Von Erich. I've went back and watched tons of their matches. Doesn't mean I want to go watch someone like a WWF show. I can enjoy what I want, but that's a rant about Twitter. Sorry about that, man. It's that's my tits in. Honestly, it gets to me. Like, I try to stay off social media as much as possible, but like, you go into Twitter and you're just like, why are you watching wrestling? Like, just leave it. Like,
yeah.
I like to rant about wrestling because I love it so much. I think it's the best sport in the world, and it's like, it's the best thing. You've got story. You've got wrestling, like athleticism inside it as well. You've got good guys, bad guys. You've got it on TV. It's easy, accessible. I think it's the best sport in the world. But then you go onto Twitter and you're like, why would anybody want to watch this? This is like a poor, terrible like fan zone. It's like AEW, WWE, or New Japan, which is weird as well. But anyway, so Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey. We answered that. Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. Again, this is a go to the toilet match. I think this one will be good, but I'm excited to see it because I think Pat is a fantastic like commentator, and when he's wrestling, he puts everything into it. So you're like, it's actually pretty fun. And then what is it? He was against Adam Cole, Vince McMahon, wasn't it? WrestleMania, was it Vince?
Yeah, it was Vince McMahon and Theory, yeah.
And then now you've got Happy Corbin. Like, he's a good wee list of people building up there. Like, and I think this is for like my kids. This is for them to watch. It'll be something fun. Two guys in the ring doing some fun stuff. Which is like what we're saying there. That's what I was going to say. There's something in the card for everybody. The TLC 2019 is what I was meaning. Buddy Murphy, Alistair Black's for me. Then you've got the main event that brings everybody in. Like, I can't remember what the main event was, but brings everybody in to watch it. And then you've got
Charlotte against the Kabuki Warriors, if I'm not mistaken.
That was Steve, your memory's a lot better than me. It's because I've not got any hair. The thoughts just run out. But Aye, it was like brings everybody to go watch it. You want to see it, and then all that kind of stuff. Which is how WWE is. WWE, they're the biggest company for wrestling in the world. But this one, what's your thoughts on it? Who do you think is going to win?
For me personally, I'm going to say that this has been a much better build than it had any right to be. I've actually enjoyed the build to this match as well, because when I first heard the match was happening, I was like, oh, I don't know if I feel. I mean, I don't mind Corbin. A lot of people don't like Corbin at all, and I actually don't mind him. I know he's seen as boring with his safe style in the ring, but I like some of his moves like the Deep Six. I like the End of Days. I think those moves are pretty cool moveset. But at the same time, I just think Corbin's good at his job because everyone hates him. And they're like, well, that's what we're meant to do, not meant to like you. So he's obviously doing something right. And to be fair, seeing him do the Wagyu beef on Instagram can be quite fun from time to time, and the way he sort of flashes off with his whiskies or whatever he's drinking. So, fair play to him. That's what he wants to do. And he wants to come across arrogant and like a proper heel like he should be. Great, keep doing it. You're doing your job properly. Pat McAfee, for me, I just think, like you said, he's also like another one like Liv Morgan. He's got a real passion for this. He really cares for this. He's not someone that this isn't their world. Like, I mean, both of them were in the same American football team, and obviously they're in wrestling now. But McAfee's got so much passion. I love the way he does his promos. Everyone gets behind him. It's like actually watching something of an Attitude Era, because you can give him 30 seconds or 20 minutes. People are eating out the palm of his hand. He wants bum-ass Corbin shouting in the crowd. They are doing it. They're not piping that noise in. They're actually doing it for Pat. So he's doing a great job of it. But yeah, I'm going for passion over experience here. I'm going for celebrity over wrestler. Pat McAfee will pick up the dub for me.
Man, I love Corbin. I think I don't like his character just now. I don't like the kind of homeless thing they were doing and the happy stuff. Like, there was cool bits in it. I like now back in the NXT stuff that when he first came up, when he had like the hair that he should have definitely cut off a lot sooner. I loved him back then, and people were always like, he's very boring. He's a big guy, and he comes for like he's just a big guy doing like moves which are impactful, which is what you kind of expect a big guy to do. I think everybody's lost that enjoyment of just seeing like Undertaker versus Kane or Kane versus Big Show. Isn't he a like 5-star match? But it's like they hit a move or they hit something and you're like, shit, that would really hurt because the size of them. People just lost that like enjoyment of like that bit of wrestling. But for me here, I'm going to go for Happy Corbin. I think if we're saying Logan Paul's getting the win, I think they're going to need to have Corbin get the win here, and they'll probably give him the win to then be like, so he can become more smug. Be like, well, I should get your position in like a maybe a rematch at the Castle or whatever. But I think Corbin's going to get the win. That's my say. But knowing my luck, it'll be fucking Pat gets the win. Everybody else, the opposite will happen, and then I'll just feel like I don't know anything about wrestling.
I actually like the idea though of him actually saying he wants a rematch to take his position, get him off the commentary permanently. Because to be fair, actually the week that McAfee was away and Corbin was there on commentary, obnoxious as ever, I thought it was quite entertaining, especially when he was doing the air guitar, Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought myself, him and Corey Graves, I was like, yeah, I thought it was quite entertaining for all the right reasons. We're supposed to get that heel heat, and I was like, yeah, I'm digging this. So, like you say, it's got everything it needs to be. And if Corbin does get the win, look, he's been jobbing to Madcap Moss now for the last 3 or 4 months. So this would be sort of like giving Corbin something back for putting over a new star, because Madcap Moss is not there yet, but certainly he's had a lot more exposure in 2022. Corbin's been a big part of that. So, I mean, for him to get a win back over McAfee, who would go back to the desk, wouldn't it be the worst booking move? You could push Corbin back up the card, but I'm sticking with my prediction now. I think McAfee will pick up the win.
So, Lashley against Theory for that US title. Theory for me, I know you've all heard my rants on this. I know you've heard it, Steve. I just don't get it. I don't get the position that he's in just now. I don't think the guy is. I feel like he's like everybody's lost this sense of like a mid-carder. Like Billy Gunn, Val Venus, Road Dogg, X-Pac. I mean, none of these guys we ever imagined were going to be like a world champion. Everybody's lost this idea of like, I'd be a mid-carder or an upper mid-carder and be really, really good in that position. Like Happy Corbin. He's really, really good in that position that he's in. He knows he's good in that. The Miz, I know he's been the world champion, but like he's really good in that position that he's in. He can be fitted in anywhere. And I think people just forget, like, Theory could be in that position, then head up later. I would love to see him I'd love to see Theory go against like Seth Rollins, Riddle, like have long-term storytelling get behind him, and I'd have been happy seeing him win the Royal Rumble. The Money in the Bank thing, I'm not into it. This match, Lashley, I hope gets the win, because this guy should always have gold around his waist. He's like, what, 40, 42, 43, and he looks like that.
Yeah.
Like, what, he's 10 years older than me or something, and I'm like, 11 years, and I'm like, how does he look like that? Like, and he looks the same way as he did in 2006.
Yeah,
Maybe a wee bit more muscly, that's it. And you're like, how do you do this? But he should be the champion, beat the hell out of Theory, but Theory has that moment of, see if they could just get some blood in it. I know we're just saying about it's for everybody in the family, but imagine Theory being cut open here, struggling, holding onto the ropes and stuff. Lashley's just this animal that's just no laying off him. Then Theory could get the roll up quickly. If that happens, I think Theory getting the win, getting the belt, moving on would be cool. But I think Lashley's going to get the win, because they're not going to give his blood. We're not that new and creative for new people coming in. So I say Lashley. What do you think, win? Who do you think is going to win?
So I'm actually going to I did obviously my predictions earlier in a week on this, but I'm going to update it a little bit, because when I did this match at the time, my more thought process was, well, simply to give the prediction now as well, Lashley was going to win. There was nothing to sink my teeth into, because I don't think the build to Lashley and Fury has been anything special now on this second run to SummerSlam. It's almost like an afterthought. The key is the briefcase. And just to sort of have my take on that very quickly with Fury, the reason that I'm okay with it is I see him as a future star, but I agree with you. He shouldn't be cashing that in yet. That's, if he, and we'll talk about that when that comes out later in the stream, when it comes to Roman and Brock time. But my choice would be for Fury to keep that briefcase up until near the end. Like, because the way I look at him, a lot of people compare Fury to John Cena. If you do that, that's fine. That's totally cool. I actually picture him as a young Randy Orton. I see their career paths as quite similar, the way that they've been, because Theory came through and was exposed to WWE's main roster, whatever, in 2020. Sort of had a bit of an unsuccessful, lost in the shuffle kind of starting, same as Randy Orton did back in 2002. Randy actually got injured, of course. That's what started with the Randy Orton Network news station thing, if you remember, back in 2003, just before he joined Evolution. Well, Theory went back then and did NXT. Obviously, was part of the Way with Johnny Gargano, all that sort of stuff. Now, Evolution and the Way are not the same thing, but bear with me anyway. And obviously, Randy sort of broke out into that and became a world champion. It took Randy about 2 years and a few months to get to his position. Theory's been back on now WWE Raw for, what was it now, about 7, 8, 9 months, around that area. Theory has had someone pushing in towards the top in Vince McMahon. Obviously, Vince is no longer there. Your daddy's not here anymore. So what's he going to do? Who's your daddy? We'll find out. But at the same time, I think Theory's got the briefcase at the right time, but he shouldn't be cashing it in yet. We'll talk about say whether he will or won't, excuse me, a bit later on. But I think he should hold it till next year's Money in the Bank. That's the right time, because he's got a year to work. Like you said, work with the mid card, work with the upper mid card, get those feuds, get the ideas of getting certain things over. And I've always said, as a storyline, I love this as an idea. I've never seen it play out. People may like it or not, but I'll share it with you. The idea of time's running out for him to cash it in, instead of becoming the predator that can cash in at any point, all of a sudden it's almost becoming like the vulnerable prey, because the champion knows, well, someone's got 365 days to cash in on me. All of a sudden, when they've got 4 weeks to go, well, I know you've got to cash in soon, or you're going to lose that briefcase. You've got to cash in. I almost dare you to cash it in tonight. Come and cash that bad boy in now. I'm here and I'm waiting for you. I've not got a match tonight. That sort of idea there, you can sort of say, right, okay, what's going to happen with Theory? And maybe, a lot of people say want to make it a failed cash-in attempt. Maybe he wins the cash-in attempt, but he does it on the last day, maybe just before the next Money in the Bank ladder match. It's the last possible opportunity to cash it in, because it's a different storyline we've never seen before, and it gives time to build this Theory so people can adapt to the idea of Theory being a top guy, because he's won the United States Championship, just like Randy Orton won the Intercontinental Championship as well. Now it's time to get Theory to the next level. But like you say, you can't just win the briefcase because automatically, he's up the top. That's not the right idea. He will be at the top, and he'll be there for many, many years, but it's not the right time yet. But to tease it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with teasing it, because why shouldn't he? It fits his character. It fits who he is. But as I say, we'll talk about that side more later. Coming into more depth then with Bobby Lashley, before I just go on and on into a complete tangent, we're talking about Dolph Ziggler. He's been involved with a lot of this build-up here. So my feeling is that Dolph Ziggler is going to cost Theory this match, because Ziggler's everywhere. And I think after this match, Theory will actually then beat Ziggler up either in the ring or backstage and will take Ziggler out so he's not around towards the end of the night.
But I think what you were saying there makes sense as well. Like, I don't want him to... It wasn't like I wasn't happy with the getting the briefcase decision. I thought somebody like Riddle would have made more sense to have Lesnar with a belt, have Riddle cash in. Two of them have got genuine issues, and also they're both UFC fighters. They both know how to fight. Give us that legitimate feeling that we want to see in wrestling again. And that's all I was thinking. Theory, I definitely think he's going to be up there. At the minute, obviously he's not there. And I don't think the best thing to do was give that time frame on it either, that year. At some point he's going to cash it in this year. Because if he fails to cash it in, it's how they bring him back from failing to cash it in, which WWE's never really, really good at. Like, if you've cashed it in and you fail, they normally just let you flounder for a little bit, and it's like, that's what we need there. But I think, like, Theory, like you said, it is kind of more like a Randy Orton. I think, like, he's like John Cena prototype and Randy Orton when he had, like, the blue shorts. Like, when Randy Orton looked like John Cena prototype, the two of them, like, kind of came up, they looked the exact same. And the only difference was, like, one had tattoos and the other one didn't. But it is the similar, like, kind of career. They know how they're going to build him. He's going to be a huge star. But it's just like, I would have loved to have seen him win maybe Money in the Bank next year, maybe get to the last two, or even get the Royal Rumble win. So he gets a WrestleMania moment, gets bet, then gets the Money in the Bank next year. Something like that. Like, so he gets like we see him have this, like, this guy could actually maybe take this company somewhere. But I think what you said is probably something that they should do. They maybe should send it to them, like the cash it in, like, because it's more than likely it's still going to be Roman Reigns. Like, let's all be honest, he's not going to go anywhere. He's getting he needs the belts to hold up his arms. He's getting his shoulders work out and stuff like that. He's not going to go anywhere. But the next match is the Mysterios against the Judgment Day and the no disqualification match. I'm excited for this. I think this, it's no being a build, it's no anything in it. Rhea Ripley with the I'm Your Pappy t-shirt and the Buddy Murphy tweeting that you can have the
custody of custody in a ladder match, like Eddie
that's
Wright,
it. That's what I was trying to say. I think that was good and it could work. Why can we not do something fun like that? But I think this match is going to be, because they've took Seth Rollins and Riddle off of the card, I think this could be a secret match that we look back and we're like, that was a really good match. I think Rey Mysterio's having just fantastic matches as a tag team. We've never really seen him as in WWE, never really seen him as like that, a tag team wrestler for a long time. But obviously had Edge and Rey and stuff like that back in, when we were watching it.
More 20 years ago now.
I don't make me feel old, man. I was talking about the what was the WCW one called when he had the army stuff on, had no mask.
The No Limit Soldiers. Oh, that's
painful. I was talking about that the other day, and somebody was like, you know, that's like 25 years or 24 years ago or something. And I was like, no, it's not. And I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, I'm fucking old. This is no right. But but I think this one's going to be cool, man. For me, I would like to see Judgment Day get the win. Damian Priest, Finn Balor are fantastic. They get the win. Dominic turns on Rey. We have Rey, Dominic build a story to the castle in the UK. The two of them end up having a cool match there, and then they go on to keep doing some cool matches for a few pay-per-views. But I think Judgment Day wins. Who do you think? Who do you think's going to get a win this one?
See, Judgment Day need the win. This is the thing for me here when you look at the two. Judgment Day need a bit of momentum back on their side. But if we're going to go on predictions here, Edge wasn't at Madison Square Garden as predicted. I'm predicting returns at SummerSlam. And as it's no disqualification, will Aaliyah be at ringside with Rhea Ripley as well? I imagine Rhea will get herself involved in the match. I wondered as well if they could actually do a Judgment Day against Edge and Beth Phoenix match. That could be something they could do. I've talked about Edge and Rey before being a team against Judgment Day for a period as well, but certainly could do the idea of Finn and Rhea against Edge and Beth. But at the same time, I think that Edge and Balor will be the match that they will do at Clash of the Castle. I think so. For that reason, Edge should return. Perhaps Balor isn't the one that's pinned, but maybe Priest takes the fall here and Ray and Dominic get the win. They're taken in out of that program, and we can focus on Edge and Judgment Day once again. But so I'm going for Edge to return here.
It does feel a lot like they're trying to correct like whatever they were going to do with Judgment Day, because it's whatever it was clearly wasn't going to work, and it feels like they're trying to correct it. And but like you said, I would like to see Damian Priest actually get like that. You said a zombie match and that kind of shit. Damian Priest is a fantastic wrestler, especially with Triple H being in creative now. He was high on Damian Priest. I think the guy he was my top wrestler last year. Apart from the zombie thing, we obviously don't talk about that. But still get nightmares and wake up with hot sweat. Look at it. That didn't happen, did it? That didn't happen. It's all right. But
we've erased that from our minds. It's not even when we do retro reviews in future. Like that's actually going to be like wiped off the network and Peacock by that time. It's not going to be an issue. We won't have to worry about it.
Aye, they should take that off the network and no like any other stuff that they try to go back and change. But I think Priest and Edge would make more sense than Balor and Edge. I would love to see Balor and Edge. Obviously, they always have like everybody's got a cool dynamic in there, but this could be break up Judgment Day, have Priest, Balor and Edge, triple threat, something like that. But I thought they were going to do Edge and Beth Phoenix against Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. I thought that's where it was going to go. And then Edge just went home. Like he just do. I'm just going back home. I'm not going to do this anymore. But I don't know. This one I think it's going to be cool. The Mysterios, they need to break them up. Then we're all dying to see it. Like everybody's dying to see this happen. But next one, the Usos versus the Street Profits. I don't really care about this. I'm not interested in it. I've seen it too many times, and it's like having your favorite drink, your favorite food. There's only so many times that I can see it. It's always a fantastic match, but I do feel like it needs something a little bit more to it. Who gets the win? I don't even know. Why did they have Jeff Jarrett in? I don't know. How is Jeff Jarrett doing this? And I don't know. I don't know how. Jeff Jarrett seems to be everywhere just now, doesn't he? Like he's doing the Ric Flair stuff. He's doing this, but I don't know why they added Jeff Jarrett in. I thought they would have added somebody like, I don't know, somebody that's got like tag team history in it. Like I was thinking Sami Zayn. So he was hanging around with the Usos. He cost the Usos the title because they didn't really have him in his wee group. Then he acts like he's part of the Street Profits group or something. Like
that'd be fun.
After 2 seconds, I was on the toilet when I thought of that. And WWE don't use it, but who do you think's going to get the win? I don't know. I've seen this too many times, but who do you think's going to get the win here?
It's a tough one, this one. This is the one I'm most, backwards and forwards on. I did a live Q&A with Tom Colohue yesterday, and he was talking about how, like, the intimate of the breakup of the Street Profits is probably somewhere in the near future. And, the idea that potentially SummerSlam could be that place, that there's one or two sides of this story it's going to go on. And unfortunately, there's no middle ground. So you're either going to be right or wrong with this match. And that's what makes it kind of good in a way. And Jeff Jarrett, I agree with you. It makes no sense being this match. The reason there it's in Nashville. At least if he calls someone slap nuts, I'll be happy. And we'll probably get a guitar breaking spot over someone's back these days. They don't do it over the head anymore, though the head probably would be quite appropriate in this sort of way. I mean, obviously Jeff Jarrett on Raw as well was like, I'm going to remember this. If you people keep arguing, keep fighting out, I'll remember it this Sunday. I'm going to put it into the form of the match. So that makes me think he's going to be the deciding factor of what's happened, not just because 1, 2, 3, but actually what happens. So for me, it's kind of like there's this dissension into the Street Profits that we don't see on TV, but maybe that can play into it. Or we see the idea that the Usos, will they drop the championships, put pressure on Roman? Because Roman, if he's going to eventually lose these championships, which I think people are starting to think it's coming soon, even if it may not be at SummerSlam, we need to get this idea of Roman thinking, well, hang on, the Usos lost. Does that mean Roman's losing as well? And I think that puts a great dynamic as well. And if the Street Profits do win, it's that kind of rise above hate storyline. We're still together. They can still break up in a couple of months' time, or they could even lose the belts on Raw, have the feel-good moment on the Saturday and break up on the Raw, and then go into Clash of the Castle that way. So that's kind of what I want to see happen. I want the Street Profits here to get the feel-good moment because I think it would just make their breakup storyline that little bit more beautiful. But as I said, we've seen these two teams face a lot of times. I think this will be the last time, especially as the Profits will break up in probably the coming months, maybe even on Sunday. I think if the Usos do win, it's the Profits accidentally bump into Jeff Jarrett, and there'll be someone like Montez Ford, for example, will take the guitar shot, and that will lead to Angelo Dawkins being upset and then turning on Montez. But I'm going to go for the Profits to win because, like I say, it can go either way.
Man, I would like for the Profits to win. I would like them to have like maybe like a Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle kind of feeling when they hated each other. They didn't want to be Austin Michaels. They didn't want to be in a tag team. They were the champions. They hated each other, but they were like mandated to be in the kind of thing. Like the two of them can hate each other, but they have to defend the title because they've been ordered to do it. I think that would have been cool, but you know we're not going to get that. Like that's just hopeful thing. But coming into the last two matches, we've got Belair versus Lynch. Now, everybody knows I've never been a big Becky Lynch fan. She hits too much into the Conor McGregor stuff recently, especially trying to overplay that kind of style of like the way Conor McGregor acts, the way we always remember him for the UFC and what got him good, forgetting why we liked Becky Lynch in the first place. I feel like she's forgot that road to where she was. Like, I feel like kind of she forgot that, and she's trying to play more to this like entertaining Conor McGregor side, which doesn't really suit, especially when she's 5'4" and like 130 pounds or something. Like she's like Conor McGregor could legitimately beat the shit out of most of us. There's no way that like Becky Lynch could beat the shit out of the majority of people in the stadium, which is I don't know, I just don't get it. But here, Belair needs to get the win, didn't she? Keep the belt. I would even do the 32 seconds thing here just to get back at her. Like, I know it would be awkward, but it would make more sense to get back by how much they fucked it up last year. But Belair needs to keep the belt here. She's fantastic. I don't know what else to say.
To be fair, that could be an interesting way if they went down that. I don't know how people in attendance would feel to have another squash match between these two after they had such a good Mania match. But at the same time, it would fit the narrative quite well if Becky lost that quickly because it would show how much she's falling in 12 months. Because, I mean, you said you've not enjoyed it. I must admit, I've enjoyed Becky's character work with the free fall because she's, like you said, she's putting the big on front like a Conor McGregor, but actually in action, she's losing all of her matches. She's not getting anywhere near what she's saying that she is. And I think that's causing more of a crazier, out of control Becky Lynch. And I want to see more of that actually going towards the end of the year, where maybe then she can humble herself and come back to the Becky Lynch that we knew and loved, and then can get back in, say, Royal Rumble season, back into the swing in the right way. But at that point, we can have a heel Ronda Rousey probably back as champion by that point, because it won't seem so stale. She has it from now to WrestleMania. Get her the championship around the Royal Rumble. Then you can do Becky versus Ronda at WrestleMania the right way round with face Becky Lynch, heel Ronda Rousey. So I totally agree with you. I think this has got to be a ender for these two, Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. For me, Bianca wins. I don't want this to be a cursed pay-per-view for Bianca where she wins the championship at Mania every year, then loses it at SummerSlam every year. That, for me, doesn't work. We've seen it once. Well, let's not do it this year. Bianca should win, in my opinion. I think she's done a strong job as Raw Women's Champion. She needs a few more in-depth storylines, but I think that will come. She's got the likes of Rhea Ripley waiting for her now that she's back. Alexa Bliss threw her name in the hat as well. So they've got a fresh scene there in the championship division. When it comes to, someone like Becky Lynch, she can go in free fall out of the championship scene, have to wait for the draft. Hope she can get perhaps drafted to SmackDown because she's that far out of it on Raw. And maybe she can do other feuds. Like we mentioned, the people like Liv Morgan, she goes over the SmackDown, but on Raw, there's plenty of people she can feud with. I don't think we've seen Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley, currently two heels, but if she switches to the babyface eventually, that could be something fun to see. So I think there's a lot that can be good with this, and I think it will be a good match. That's one thing I would say. The match at WrestleMania is one of my favorites this year, but I agree with you. Bianca Belair winning all day long.
Man, I don't know. Becky Lynch is kind of, I know people love her. It's either like a love-hate kind of relationship. I just really don't care. I haven't ever really got into her. Like, she's a good wrestler. Just like Daniel Bryan, I can sit and say, I don't go watch a Daniel Bryan match. I can appreciate a Daniel Bryan match, but I don't give a shit what the guy does. It just creeps me out all the time about the mad vegan stuff and the environmental stuff, and like just the way I don't like his character. I don't like his in-ring style, but that's fine. We can all appreciate wrestling, guys. But before we get into the main event, is what I would love to see. Just I was going to do this little thing if nobody was coming on, but I'll just do it since you're here. Is
Absolutely.
a dream thing was somebody like Theory or like Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins not got a match just now. He's out. He demands a match. He's what people have paid to see, and then we get Triple H coming out, and he introduces somebody, and obviously people are like Bray Wyatt, stuff like that. If it was contractually possible, like if they were working together or whatever, I would love to see MJF come out. That would just
Amazing.
play that story and just like cut the bullshit. Let WWE, but like, we're going to work with these people like because we want to create a better. And kid on that he's been signed to WWE. It doesn't matter. Like Tony can't afford to go against the lawyers or whatever. Like just tell a stupid story and have MJF come over, spend a couple of months there, and then he jumps back. Try and create that hype of we need to watch these shows because we've got people coming over. That's just something that I would love to see, but I know it's not going to happen. If a Bray Wyatt comes back, I'm excited for that as well. But Bray Wyatt, I want him to come back as Bray Wyatt, no as the Fiend, because we don't want to talk about that present thing that the WrestleMania with a big present and
they hurt the Fiend. They really hurt the Fiend. I feel for me, like I want to see him back one day. I think that I think a lot of the rest of the thing is a lot of times when I do streams on my channel, particularly the live streams and Q&As, Bray Wyatt is a dominated question every single time. He's had an impact on a lot of people, and I think that's a really good thing. And you can see, even though it's a year in 2 days that he was released from WWE, people still talk about him. Because he's not gone anywhere else. There probably is no interest for him to go anywhere else right now, as he probably could have done. So a lot of companies can't afford him either. But I'd love to see him come back. When, like you said, the Eater Worlds character, for example, there was a lot of mileage you could probably still go with that. I know it got damaged with the Sister Abigail stuff back in 2017, but that's a long time ago. We've got over that. The Fiend also got really, really hurt at WrestleMania. I think if that character came back now, I don't know. I think people would go for it, of course, at first, because Bray's back. How cool is that? But it wouldn't take long to go back into the same patterns that we saw before. And I think you need to know how to book a character like that correctly. And if you're not going to give the freedom of creative control that he would want, which he's not going to get in WWE. So, I mean, I think the best thing to do if Bray did come back would be to evolve a different type of character. Maybe even combine the two in some format where it's slightly fiendish, but ditch the Firefly Funhouse stuff. Maybe go back to the old sort of, where he's on the rocking chair and stuff like that. I'd like to see that Bray back, especially when you got the likes of people like Joe Gacy in NXT. I think they're trying to build him as a similar style character. Obviously, you've got now Gibson or Fowler now and Jared. I don't know, can't remember the names properly. Too soon for me. But have that as a fully fledged stable. That could be quite fun to see. Joe Gacy's like the mouthpiece and Bray's the one that's the puppet master, I suppose, if you combine the characters. So I don't know, you can have a lot of fun with it. But I mean, from understandings, there's no interest from his side to come back at the moment. And I'm guessing Nick Khan would need convincing if he wants to come back as well. But I mean, hey, we'll have to wait and see what goes on.
I'm talking about the Firefly Funhouse thing. My kids loved that the other day, and I was like, why are you having to enjoy this? But they're at that age when they didn't like wrestling. They did like Sting and that kind of stuff. They've watched all the retro stuff. They've watched pretty much every Nitro and every WWF from that period. Because I've been watching it for the channel, so they've just been sitting watching it with me. And then now I'm letting them watch more modern wrestling, and they're enjoying it. That's another thing. We were more into watching Bray Wyatt when he was the Eater of Worlds or coming out with like the cool kind of gimmicks and wrestling. We enjoyed it. They're interested in the Lily and Sister Abigail, all that weird shit that I'm not interested in. That's what they buy. They want to market to them, so then the adults get to enjoy wrestling. And it's when I saw it, it was like, that's how they make like billions a year, which is they're very smart about the day, obviously. But the main event, man, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, last man standing. There needs to be blood. They need to give us a little bit of. And I think Lesnar's probably just going to be like, I'm doing whatever I want, especially if the rumours are true, that he walked out, came back, all that kind of shit. I think he's just went, all right, Vince has left. I'm not that happy about it, but I'm getting paid a shit ton of money to be here to go out and do nothing anyway. Why is everybody acting like this guy is that interested if his friend left? Like, if I was getting paid $12 million a year and my best friend left, I'd be like, I'm still getting paid $12 million a year. It doesn't bother me. Like, it's not if people can't text or phone or talk to each other outside of SmackDown. Like, I was a rant that's coming up this week as well, Steve. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. I'm excited for this. This match I've seen 1,000 times, just like the Usos and the Street Profits. But every time it comes up, I'm like, it feels like a wrestling match, and it feels fun. It literally feels fun. And because now as well, Roman being on like this lesser contract and stuff like that, people, it's like, how do you know it's not work? How do you know they're not working you? And thinking he's got a lesser contract and he only wants to wrestle at big pay-per-views. It's literally the definition of a heel character. People just like look into it far too much, just enjoy for what it is. But I'm buzzing for this one, man. I think this is going to be, out of the lower card, I'm going to say it'll be, I don't know, the Mysterios against Judgment Day will be my best. But this one, main event, is going to steal the show into it. I know Lesnar's going to go out there, put on a hell of a show as he always does, which is, by looking at him, you're like, shouldn't he be that good at wrestling? Like, the amount of years that we've enjoyed him, like I was thinking the other day when was it 2002? He won it against The Rock, SummerSlam?
Yes, SummerSlam 2002.
I was like a month and a day turning 11 when he won that. So like, when I've done my top 10, I look back and I was like, I was 11 years old and he's been in wrestling, UFC, sports world, that whole time that I've done mixed martial arts. I've looked up to him, watched his fights. I've done like the watching wrestling, done that. And it's like, how long has this guy been in professional wrestling? It's insane. And he's literally been at the top, main event, and put on him against Undertaker in 2002 at No Mercy is one of my favourite Hell in the Cells.
It's a good match. Very good
You've
choice.
got Kurt Angle against Brock Lesnar is always a beautiful match to watch. You got him. It's like this guy's just put on fantastic matches all the time, and we've just took it for granted. Like, he's not really been in WWE that long. Like, if you think about it as well, like he's always part-timer as he is now with the UFC kind of stuff. He came back and was like, I'm not going to work a full-time schedule. You think I'm doing? I've got all this money anyway. And then back in the day he put on probably the Big Show's best match, I would say. Him against Brock Lesnar. That feud that they had was amazing. And we take him for granted because he's not going to be here for much longer. A couple of more years, maybe. And then then that's it. I don't think he'll be doing a Goldberg, but then Roman Reigns as well. We're taking him for granted as well. I think a lot of people are starting to be like, I'm tired of him, don't want to have these belts. And it's like, this guy is the best heel in wrestling, no matter what anybody says. He's the best heel in wrestling just now. Everybody wants to be him. He's got the good looks. Every woman wants to be with him. Every guy wants to be him. And we all don't like him. And it's the cool thing about being a heel. I think this match is fantastic. And I don't know who to pick. I've changed like 50 times in this one. I think if Lesnar wins it, we could see him run with it. But what I would love to see is that, like, do you remember the Chris Jericho China? Was it Chris Jericho China? And I can't remember who it was, but it was Chris Jericho Benoit and somebody. Can't remember, but it was like 2 out of 3 falls. The first fall, you won this title, the Intercontinental title. Second, you won whatever. I would love to see that between those two belts, and then we can separate them or finally actually bring them together. But who do you think is going to win? I want to get your opinion on this channel. I did watch your video about it, but I want to get your opinion on this channel about it.
I was going to say, the concept is really fun, by the way. That was WrestleMania 2000. Jericho, Angle, and Benoit was the winners then. Angle went in with both championships and ended up leaving with none, which, of course, was perfect for his character at the time. Last man standing, it won't be me. I can tell you that. This match will be on like 4 o'clock in the morning by the time it's on live, so I won't be standing, that's for sure. But looking at it, I think that the last man standing stipulation definitely helps this match a lot. Like you said, we've seen it a lot, but one thing with Brock, like you said, there is legitimate. You can't argue when Brock comes through the curtain, he's in the ring. It's a big fight feel every time he's in there. Doesn't matter who he's against. So I think I would agree with you. There's definitely an underrated feeling and unappreciated. And Brock is definitely in the top 20 wrestlers of all time, and no one near enough appreciates that. And I think that it will be after he's long gone and retired from wrestling that people go back and go, actually, God, there's some really good feuds and stuff in there with Brock Lesnar. So you pointed a couple of them out just there a couple of seconds ago, even from his earlier days and some of his later feuds he's had with, even with Undertaker, like, when beating the streak and stuff like that. Triple H, of course, when he first come back as well. So I mean, there's some great stuff in there with Rock over the years. The 2015 Rumble match with Rollins and Cena as well. But I mean, Roman Reigns, like you say, he's another one of these characters that, you know, he is the top dog right now. And when he's about, everyone loves it. When he's not about, that's why people hate it. And obviously he's got both titles. I think he had one title. I don't think people will be bored. I think now it's because it sort of feels like, oh, it's too much. So now we need to get it off of him. But for me, looking at this, I had my prediction, and I will include Theory in it because Theory, I think, will attempt to cash in Money in the Bank. I think it's going to fail miserably. I think they're going to go and they'll do the barricade spot, because that's something they tend to, it's a safe spot that they will usually do, Roman Reigns and Lesnar. So either go through a table or a barricade. Let's go the barricade. They'll do that. They'll go through. They're both down. Looks like they're not going to be counted through. Refs get into like 6 or 7. Theory's music hits because he thinks, right, this is the opportunity. Last man standing. Well, if I go in there as well, it's triple threat, last man standing. They're both down. I win both belts. Goes to hand over the briefcase as the referee's getting to 9. And as he gets to 9, hands the briefcase over. Both like Undertaker-esque. Roman Reigns and Lesnar get up. And all of a sudden, you see Theory's face go like panic, like, oh. And the ref's like trying to take the case off him. You're cashing in. He's like, no, I need that back. I need that back now. I'm not cashing in. And you just see a moment where, like you said there, like Lesnar and Reigns can look at each other. And just for a split moment, they've been beating each other up for like 10 minutes at this point. So they're not going to go and do 25. They'll do 10 minutes at this point. And then they look at each other and go, we'll get him out. So we'll just see Lesnar and Reigns team up for about 2 or 3 minutes, absolutely annihilate Theory, F5s, spears, whatever you want to see. Maybe Theory gets thrown through a table or whatever, to a point that we know Theory is not coming back in. He's a non-factor. So then Lesnar and Reigns can finish off the match. I think Nashville will go mental if WWE does that, and because no one seems to like Theory anyway. Even the ones that like Theory don't mind seeing him get beaten up. So I think that's a perfect thing to do with him right now. And then you can do the finish off of the match. And like you said, something brutal is going to happen. Hopefully we'll see some blood. It just feels like it would be appropriate as it's last man standing. It's the last chapter. But I can't look past Roman Reigns. I think Reigns is retaining. I think it's Reigns versus Drew at Clash of the Castle. So that's going to be my prediction.
Well, I would love to see what you were saying there. I think that would be fantastic. Theory coming out. It does tells a story, gives us something to look forward to in the future. But another one could be like Theory comes out, cashes in, and he pins Roman, and they're like, well, what title do you want? Like,
True, yeah.
And he's like, oh, what do you mean? What title? Like,
I want both.
And it's like, well, no, you can't have both. You need to pick one. And we could go into like I don't remember, global warming and Australian pay-per-view that they had, and it was Rock, Triple H, and Brock Lesnar. I watched this match today, and it was fantastic. And I was like, that'd be a cool thing to do. Brock, you need to go check out, man. It's that pay-per-view's on the network, and it's actually a really good pay-per-view. But you've got Brock, Roman, and Theory, like that. Still that young guy coming in, but back then, The Rock and Triple H really helped make Brock Lesnar look like amazing during that match, and I think that could be something that they could do at the castle, which is going to be a poor awkward pay-per-view. I don't feel that there's much going into it yet. I think SummerSlam tomorrow night will set up for a lot coming in there. Man, but thanks for coming on the channel with the predictions and listening to me going a good 10-minute rant about Twitter. I mean, I could go on a longer one, but you know what we're like. We always like to rant.
I mean, if you didn't give me a rant, I wouldn't come on. You know, this is the thing. It's almost a negotiation at this point. It's like, you're going to rant right if I come on right. I'm not coming on otherwise. So, no. But seriously, no. It's always a pleasure to come on this channel. I love the content you do, Barry. I love that you always speak your mind. You're always honest. You're not someone that sugarcoats it either. And I think that that's a good thing, because there are a lot of content creators myself, probably sometimes. Well, I like to always be honest with everything, but I like the way that you just sort of you just go for it. There's no filter. It doesn't matter. Like, this is your opinion, and you're getting it raw, because that's what wrestling's all about. It's one of the shows that's been dominating for the last 30 years is Raw. So I mean, your content is fantastic. It's always a pleasure talking pro wrestling with you, whether it's current, whether it's retro. I always love being on these shows, so it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate you reaching out and having me on. Honestly, it's great to be here. Thanks.
Well, I feel enjoyed now by the wrestling community, but obviously I wish people would just go subscribe to me. Come on, get me up there. But go subscribe to Steve as well.
It's down there somewhere. It's a little button just says subscribe. Go on, just hit on for Barry. He deserves it.
No man, honestly, your content as well. I'm not just blowing smoke up your arse because you're on the channel. It is fantastic. It's good. It's fun. You're always on the ball with content. You've got people on live streams and stuff like that. It's always good. People should go check you out. It's the reason why you've been doing this for years now. I went back and looked at your old, like some of your old first
Oh,
videos.
that can't be good, can
And,
they? If you've gone back that far.
there's a big change, just to say the least. But go subscribe to Steve. Go subscribe to all the guys that we share, support, and that kind of stuff. Wrestling community on YouTube is strong, even though a lot of people argue it sometimes. But it's still, we are a big, happy kind of family.
Absolutely.
Kind of ish. But man, that's the end of the stream. I'll end it here. And that's it.
Thank you.